Welcome to episode 2 of Hope Within the Mango Trees. I am Nikhat Khatun. This story is only just beginning, and it feels like we are about to board a roller coaster.
Slept on the floor by the front door.
More basic than basic.
Don't trust these people.
It was a very difficult time.
Get them out.
You didn't know who to trust anymore.
India is changing.
I'm studying my level best so that I can give something back to Future Hope, which gave me everything.
Future Hope was created for the children most at risk on the streets of Kolkata. Most arrive at school severely malnourished. Many have suffered years of abuse, mental, physical, and sexual. But at Future Hope, those lives can be transformed.
I feel everything is possible. I feel with a little bit of support, anyone can fly. I'm Sujata Sen. I'm CEO of Future Hope. From that condition, in the street, malnourished, about to die, nobody at home, no family, and then you are a successful cybersecurity engineer or a banker or a sports person. Every day is a day of hope. It's full of struggles, but what makes it worth it is when somebody's life has been transformed. So it's absolutely fabulous to be waking up every morning and doing something for Future Hope. I think everything is possible.
Sujata Sen leads this amazing organization towards bright horizons, the future India. But back in the late 1980s, it was just beginning. Just Tim Grandage and that Dutch backpacker. Remember her?
Erika Hilterman.
Erika Hilterman?
That's me.
The volunteer nurse? Was something stirring between them?
Not yet, because we didn't know each other. I just came as a volunteer. He certainly looked after me. So initially, I came for 3 months. So it was a very short thing. I did feel restricted then because I was in a place more or less all day. And of course, I was used to move around and do things on my own. So I felt I was a bit curtailed in my own movements. And I felt a bit lonely.
Were you remotely attracted to Tim at this stage?
No, not yet.
It's approaching midnight. We are weaving through the chaotic Kolkata streets.
This is our local market.
The barrows of vegetables head towards the night market. Ahead at Sealdah Station, the race is on for the last train north. Outside, the homeless gather for the night. Tim and Erika will never stop caring for these people. It's in their DNA.
We're now on our way back to Sealdah Station. We promised an old man who we found there with these 2 little girls that we'd come back and actually bring somebody who could talk. So we brought one of our old boys along to translate. We've got to see what we can do. The children are very young, so we couldn't take them into Future Hope, but certainly what we could do is to set them up with a home so we can get them off the station, get the grandfather and his daughter off the station.
What was the record number of children that we got in Tim Uncle's Jeep? I think record was about 20. The big ones on the side seats. Then on top of the big ones were the little ones. Then the middle lot were standing in the middle. Then
the 6 would be hanging outside.
Yes, I would be sitting in the front with 2 little ones on my lap. We had one on the handbrake. Health and safety in those days didn't exist yet.
This is Sealdah. You can see all the huge amounts of people, many, many cars, hundreds of people walking all over the place. No, leave it all open. Leave it all open. So, where is the old man and his children now? And there was lots of small children over here as well.
ছোট বাচ্চারা ছিল না এখানে সেগুলো কোথায়
একটা মেয়ে ছিল তো নেই এখানে
সারাদিন থাকবে
ওরা আলাদা ওদের কোনো বাড়িঘর নেই
না বাড়ি নেই
না
কিছু বাড়ি নেই হ্যাঁ yeah he's saying that everybody here has no home and they come here every night.
So here's the old man. Namaskar. How are you?
I'm well.
Now, I've brought one of my old boys with me. So we want to try and help you get off the station and keep the children with you. And when the children are older, you can send them as day scholars to our school.
And যখন এই বাচ্চা দুটো একটু বড় হয়ে যাবে তখন
Please help me.
I will help you, but I need to know how to help. We need to know, do you have any place in Barakpur?
আপনার কোনো জায়গা আছে?
I have no land.
No land.
No land.
Things have changed in Kolkata. The government now says that if we take small children, they will send them for adoption. So it's better if they stay with you.
আবারও আমি বলছি please help me.
We will. We will.
তার জন্যই
We will. Don't worry. Okay?
It's really important that the community are okay with it and you get support. And I think that's something that Tim has been able to build up over the years, that there's trust from the community and they know about Future Hope.
The meeting takes a surprising turn when we return to Sealdah. But there are surprises around every corner at Future Hope. The children amaze and inspire, and I'd say reflect the very future of India.
I would say the girls are doing really well. Our house school captain is a girl. Even last year the school captain was a girl. Really, really good and articulate with leadership qualities. You should meet them.
Good morning, everyone. I am Isha, the head girl, aka captain of Future Hope School. I was selected here when I was 5 years old. I was a small girl. At that moment, Future Hope was there for me. I belonged to this school since last 12 years, since kindergarten, and right now I'm in class 12. When I understood what this opportunity is for me, I just thought that I need to grab this because I can't waste such opportunity. Like, we get education in such levels, lots of friendly teachers. If I am into some problem, they are ready to help me. 1 year ago, I lost my father. He was not well actually, he had blood cancer. Future Hope helped me a lot with his medicines too, but unfortunately he couldn't survive. At that time, I am the eldest of my home. Then I have a sister, 16 years, and I got a brother who is 2 years. So at that time, my mother was into a lot of burden, but I can feel that burden because I got a small brother and I got a small sister. So at that time I was into total pressure. I didn't knew what to do because my father was the person who used to earn for my family. But at that time, I got lots of calls here from Future Hope, lots of messages telling that don't worry, we are with you. And I got my boards after 3 months and I'm studying my level best so that I can give something back to Future Hope, which gave me everything.
The future of India is pretty healthy in the sense of India being maybe the third largest economy in the world within this decade. Currently, we are the 5th largest economy. India has sent a spacecraft to the south pole of the moon, which no other country has been able to do. We've got the largest cricket stadium. We've got the largest conference center. India is also becoming a social sector government. Yes, it has a very diverse population and India needs to care about its diversity and retaining its diversity. But in terms of economy, in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of road development, in terms of universal access to healthcare and education, all the laws and all the systems are in place.
Under Sujata Sen's leadership, Future Hope has become a widely regarded school, setting standards for that future India. But as we turn the clock back once more, there's an extraordinary tale to be told. In the late 1980s, street kids were getting to know the local bank manager, Tim Grandage.
Well, here we are. This is where I started my life off at Future Hope. We're in Surya Apartments, which means the sun in Hindi, Suja in Bengali. It's a block of flats 10-story high, and I was on the 6th floor just up there, originally on my own, and then after that we started to take children into the flat. Hello. I used to live here. I used to live here in 6C. I'll go and have a look.
I think when I first arrived and I saw the setup that Tim had, more basic than basic. I mean, it was a small 2-bedroom flat.
And then she looked at me, she said, well, Tim, really nice to meet the children, but where am I staying? You promised me board and lodging.
Well, I did have that, but right in between all the kids.
I said, in that room there.
So that was really quite different from what I expected. We lived there. When I arrived, I think we were there with about 20. I had the young children around me. Then Tim was sleeping in the main room in front of the front door.
Because a lot of kids would try and run away, and I'd stop them doing that. And she accepted that, and we had 10 children in her room. We had about 20 children in the main room, and we had 15 in the right-hand room.
It was a harsh place to be, and also those were the children who were coming straight off the street, so they had often big problems. TB, fractures, children with venereal disease, terrible cuts and infections. There was loads of scabies going around. You know, name it, and we had it there. The building was very divided about who we were and what we were, and there were a lot of former HSBC members who were living here, and they were all very supportive of me. And there were 1 or 2 people who were extremely angry about the children being in the flats, and majority of people didn't mind. It was pushing the boundaries rather a lot because the children were quite wild at the time. And then a remarkable man called Vilankani Amala Anthony, who was my Barababu, my chief clerk. He came forward. He had originally come from Rangoon. He was 3rd generation Tamilian Indian living in Burma. And when Aung San came into power, he decided to kick out all the Indians. And poor old Mr. Anthony suddenly found himself walking across the hump, the Astrakhan. He walked for days, and he ended up in Calcutta with only the shirt on his back. And he went to the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, knocked on the manager's door, and he said, "Sir, I used to work for you in Rangoon. I've been chucked out of Burma. Can I work for you here?" And the manager said, "Well, seems a jolly good idea. Go down to Shakespeare Sarani branch, Theatre Road branch, and work there." And he walked down to my branch, and he worked there for 48 years. So anyway, he retired, and he was terribly sad, and I said to him, "Mr. Anthony, what are you going to do? You've always been helping me with these children," because he did a lot of translation to me. "How would you and your wife like to take children into your home?" He talked to his wife, and she said, "That's a great idea." So he came back to me and said, "Yes." The more settled children were with Mr. and Mrs. Anthony. Those were the children who were starting to go to formal school from our informal school. Then you had Tim's flat, where you had the new children coming in. We were going out in the evenings collecting more children from the station. There were hundreds of children just running around. And that wasn't because they were just wanting to have fun. It was they were too scared to sleep. And we found many of our kids then.
Well, here we are. This is where it all began. The home of Mr. Anthony, my chief clerk in HSBC. He very kindly allowed us to build an extra story on the roof. You can see it up there. We built one room where they slept and where we taught them, and another little kitchen and a bathroom. Very, very simple. But it was a warm, friendly home, and any time they wanted to, they could go downstairs and become part of the family of Mr. and Mrs. Anthony. We didn't leave Mr. Anthony's house for 5-10 years. I got transferred back to Hong Kong, and I felt incredibly guilty having set up Mr. Anthony and Gracie Anthony with street children living in their house, and then I'd disappear off the scene. And so on a Saturday morning, I would fly on Thai Airways from Hong Kong to Bangkok, Bangkok to Calcutta, arrive at midday here on a Saturday afternoon, work all day with the children, and then all Sunday. And then the last flight out of Calcutta on a Sunday evening was to Dhaka in Bangladesh. And then I would catch the Dragon Air flight that went Kathmandu, Dhaka, Hong Kong, arriving at 6:15 in the morning. I go straight from the airport into the office, and nobody in HSBC knew that I had left the territory. It started off once a month and then went on to every weekend. And then the fatal day happened when I was flying back. I managed to get on the Biman Bangladesh flight, arrived in Dhaka, and as I landed in Dhaka, all the Bangladesh Biman staff rushed up to me and said, "Sir, you're the only person flying to Hong Kong. So the Dragon Air flight from Kathmandu has flown directly to Hong Kong. You're so lucky. We are going to put you up in the best hotel in Bangladesh, the Sonargaon." And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because the next flight to Hong Kong from Dhaka was Wednesday. Anyway, I picked up my courage and I found out my boss's telephone number was a great chap called David Budd. And I said, "Morning, David." And he said, "Oh, Tim, morning." He said, "You're early today." And I said, "David, just let you know, I'm going to be a little bit late for work today." He said, "No problems. How late?" I said, "I'll be back on Wednesday morning." And by that time, this misdemeanor had gone to very high level. And I realized that my time in the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation was coming to an end.
That was more than 35 years ago. Today, he's back at Sealdah Station, still caring for others. He's with Erica and a future hope old boy. They just want to help in some way.
This is the daughter. What work have you done before?
আগে কি কাজ করতেন?
মানে হাউসওয়াইফ ছিলাম।
What work can you do?
আপনি কি কাজ করতে পারেন যদি কাজের বিষয়ে আপনার জন্য দেখা হয়?
আমি মোটামুটি লেখাপড়ির কাজ, কম্পিউটার কিছু।
She can teach, she knows computer. She's a graduate, she said.
You're a graduate.
She completed her second year, but she did not finish her final year.
She was a graduate. What did she study?
আপনি কি নিয়ে পড়াশোনা করেছেন? স্ট্রিমটা কি ছিল আপনার? Arts. Basically Bengali, English. In India we have commerce, science,
arts would have been
history. Yeah.
So I will talk with my people, and in the daytime sometime I will come back and I will take you and show you where we are, and then we'll decide how to take it further.
Many thank you.
Stay strong.
God bless you.
Stay strong. And if you're a graduate, you must be able to get good job. You must be able to get good job. Okay, well, so it's a very interesting situation. Her husband died, so not only has she lost that, but she's ended up sleeping here every night of the.
It's tragic.
It's very tragic. Well, that's what we saw.
I mean, normally when they're on the street, most of them either they're from remote village, very poor, but in this case, I'm shocked actually.
Yeah, well, I'm shocked. This is what we feel.
Yeah.
This is the work that I really want to be involved in, because so many people get completely lost. They fall through the floor, and there's nobody to help them.
If these people are not helped, I don't know where they will end up.
It is incredibly difficult for women who stand alone to work because they've got their children. They need to look after them as well. And these two children are not going to school yet. We see a lot of women who still rely on their husbands to bring in money, but because the husbands often are drunk, they spend all the money that they earn during the day on alcohol and ganja and other stuff at night. And the children are frightened, the women are frightened. They don't really want the father around, but at the same time, there's no income. So people don't plan ahead. They live day by day. And I would put single women with children, I would always put them as vulnerable families, vulnerable children. And if we take children into Future Hope, then at least the mother can work. And hopefully, as the children come through education, they will be able to help the mother later on.
In our society, the girls are not given much priority, especially from where I belong. My mother, my father, they used to hear daily taunts about that you don't have a boy child. Your eldest child is a girl. She can't provide you with everything. You need to have a boy child. They used to tell me that I want you to prove everyone that a girl child can obviously achieve more. Yes, exactly, more than a boy child.
We have traditionally actually focused on boys. It's a societal thing from the families. Get the boy educated, the girl should get married off. That's changed. We will see mothers who are very ambitious for their children, for their girls. India is changing, where the women and the girls are becoming more aspirational.
Today I don't have my father with me, but I know somewhere he is always there with me and he is always guiding me. So I want him, wherever he is, to feel proud that I am their eldest daughter. Exactly, yes. So my first goal is being an air hostess. I want to go into the airlines.
What would your ideal destination be?
Is where Tim Uncle lives.
London.
London, exactly. His thinking, his mentality, I just admire it a lot, because till now in my life I haven't met anyone like him. So I want to really see the place where he belongs from, the people there. Exactly.
What an amazing person to have as a school captain. Good luck, Isha. Here's Sujata Sen, CEO of Future Hope.
I would say the last 35 years are going to be very different from the next 35 years. And we all need to think about the next 35 years and where is it that we can make a change. I think we can make a change through really innovation education. Textbooks, that's not enough. You've got to look at the condition of the child, where the child is coming from, what the context of the child is in at home, what can we do to support that child in terms of a real, all-round holistic learning. And it's very important we use all those different indicators to make that child well educated. I do not mean a PhD degree. By well educated, I mean somebody who can live an independent life and who can have the ability to look after herself or himself and be also able to help their families get out of the poverty cycle.
Back in the early 1990s, the newborn Future Hope was at a critical crossroads. And so was the whole Tim and Erica thing.
So after 6 months, I had to go back to Holland because I think I had my flight then. Perhaps I had a 6-month visa at the time. So I went back to get a new visa and was there for 6 weeks and then came back.
She wrote to the hospital in the Netherlands saying, look, I was meant to start work with you now, but I'm getting fantastic tropical experience. Would you mind if I stayed here for another 6 months? And then after that, I think something happened and she wanted to stay here forever. And that's what she's done. Her name is Erica Grandage Hilterman Grandage. Erica was meant to be here for 3 months, but now she's been here forever. Bagan, Kotai? Bagan?
As Erica committed to staying in India, Future Hope rapidly expanded.
Thank you. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Thank you.
After a few years, Mr. Anthony's house in Durga Road had too many children. My flat, we had 35 children, and we needed to look for other places to stay. And in those days, we couldn't afford to buy anything, so we would borrow houses off people. We're now driving through an area called Molali on CIT Road, and we're just going to go onto Convent Road, which is where we stayed in the very early days at Future Hope. And I'm just looking to see, the trouble is Calcutta's changed so much, see whether we can find the house. One day when I went down to the British Club on a Thursday evening, I met a man called Mahesh Chandra, who had a beautiful and a huge Rajbari house in Convent Road. He had space in it. And so I tentatively said, Mahesh, would you consider letting us use your ground floor? He lived on the top floor, and it's a huge house. I mean, it's a real mansion. And he thought it was a really good idea, particularly as he'd retired, and he had this huge space, and we would pay him rent. And as we had so much space, we decided to open our first school there.
With this place, I think we had 3 rooms. We had one for the very little ones, we had one for slightly older ones, and then the senior youngsters. They were cooking for themselves here. and it was incredibly basic. We lived on the floor. We had mats that they rolled out when they needed to study in the same space as they slept, and we ate on the veranda, which flooded during the monsoon. And I remember the older children having huge amounts of fun, taking a big run up the steps and then down on their tummies down the water to the other side of the veranda. Our responsibility was to keep the children safe and happy, but for ourselves, we had nothing. Yeah, life was just day to day, and how it came, and with a lot of initiative.
A lot of initiative, but not a lot of luck.
Mahesh Chandra, he decided as he was getting older that he wanted to sell his house and he wanted to move into a much more convenient flat. And one day he said, I want you out within a week. And that was a huge shock.
It was for me very difficult to see Tim in a very unpredictable and nasty situation whilst we were actually trying to do the right thing.
Quickly, another opportunity arose. A contact knew the perfect place.
We went to the Kurusara Road house and moved in, and we felt absolutely wonderful. It was perfect. It had a big wall around the outside so nobody could look in, nobody could get in. It had a lovely garden.
And that had 2 stories. So we ran the little ones and the middle ones from that premises.
Not for long. Things were about to take a dark turn. Something on the street caught Tim's eye.
The car that's parked outside here was the same car that was parked outside Mahesh Chandra's place in Convent Road. That's suspicious, because I saw that car there on several occasions, and I've seen the same car parked outside. And it was this Malwari property developer who was sussing out the place. He was visiting the old Finnish lady who owned the property, and he said to her, don't trust these people. They're trash, they're awful. Get them out, I'll give you your money. And then she said one day, 2 weeks before Christmas, I want you out before Christmas. You've got 14 days to get out.
At that time, in that particular home, we had 60 children who had nowhere to go. And for us, for Tim and myself, these kids we felt responsible for. We could not defeat.
There's absolutely no way that we can do this. And we then started to have to field flack. Originally it started with her writing horrible letters. Initially she wrote to my wife's parents. She got their address and she said, your daughter is in extreme danger. You think that Tim Grandage, Mr. Grandage, is a nice person. He's an awful person. He does terrible things to the children, and your daughter is in fear of everything. They wrote to the Foreigners Registration Office, and they were the people who allow foreigners into the country. We got visitations from them. They wrote to the intelligence branch. They wrote to RAW, which is MI5 of India. They went all over the place, and I turned grey in 6 months.
It's certainly not something that I was used to in my previous life. It was a horrible situation. They said things to my parents which were completely untrue.
I was shattered. We didn't sleep at night. We moved around. The police told us they will try and set you up on something. Do not go to any of your homes at a regular time. Go at different times, go at times, day and night. Tell the Future Hope children not to go out as single, go out in 2s and 3s. Otherwise, what will happen is there'll be a 12-year-old on their own, an old lady will walk past them, she'll shriek, somebody stole my purse, and out of nowhere, a gang of youngsters will come and beat the hell out of your child.
The thing there is, if you know that you have done nothing wrong and you've got nothing to hide, that gives you strength. And we just knew that we had to look for an alternative.
Every branch of the police came in, interviewed me, interviewed Erica, and then said, we want to talk with the children on their own. And they really put them through hell. And we had 2 particularly intelligent boys called Diraj and Nizam. And Diraj said it was just like being back on the streets. We were being bullied.
It was a very difficult time. You didn't know who to trust anymore. You didn't know what the next step would be.
We had our daughter Sophie born at the time. She was under 1. And Eric had got a telephone call at 2 o'clock in the morning with heavy breathing. And the chap said, "Your daughter has her birthday next week on the 24th of January. She will not see that day."
You received a call at 2 o'clock in the morning one night. A voice was on the end of the phone.
Oh, yeah. As you see, I've blocked that. And there are other things that I've blocked because that was difficult.
You lose confidence in yourself. When you're under so much pressure, you don't sleep at night. You worry about what you're doing. But none of us ever doubted what we were doing. And none of us felt that it was time to shut shop. I thought, well, I've got to get us out. How do I get us out?
Next time, was this the end of the dream for Tim, Erica, and Future Hope?
We never thought that.
You never thought that?
No, never thought that.
Find out what happened in episode 3. Plus, a chance meeting.
This is Mr. Kejuel. This is the man who actually made it possible for us to go to school. And we're very, very lucky.
Please subscribe for the whole series wherever you get your podcasts. And for more information, please visit futurehope.net.